Howdy, I'm Matthew Hurley. I've been building Workday integrations since 2016, both as a customer and as a consultant. I've seen what happens during the implementation project and what happens after the implementation partner leaves. I want to share with you 3 problems that almost every one of my clients has encountered with their integration code base and offer you some suggestions to consider in mitigating those challenges. Firstly, documentation. Sooner or later, something is going to go wrong. One of your integrations will fail or produce an error. And at that point, who is the most appropriate person to contact about the problem? How do we look at the integration? What vendor or internal system is affected? How quickly do we need to respond? What is the file even called, and where is it? The stress of scrambling to find answers to these questions in the heat of the moment is only outmatched by the discovery that the person who has those answers left the company 6 months ago. Also, developers are great at making computer systems do whatever it is you want them to do, but they are universally limited by one common factor: knowing the difference between what it does do and what it should do. The only way to bridge this gap is documentation. It can take a lot of time to determine whether or not a given integration's current behavior is desired or not. The second problem they run into is unclear business purpose. No one wants to send a demographic file that doesn't need to be sent, but if its use isn't clear, it's likely to stick around. When the business need is not clear, it's common to see a ticket closed and reopened several times because although the developer implemented the work in the ticket, the business need didn't get satisfied because he didn't know what it was. When the actual business purpose of an integration or software tool is unclear, it can result in useless development, unnecessary complexity, and security risks. And thirdly, inexperience. No one has ever implemented Workday for your organization before, and so there's a lot of new ground to cover. When a development team is introduced to Workday's tools, it can take a long time to figure out some of its quirks. Many of them are unintuitive and poorly documented, which represents wasted time. The most appropriate approach for an integration may change as the business needs develop and as limitations are uncovered, although an experienced developer might be able to rebuild the integration in just 2 or 3 weeks. When facing the prospect of a novice team spending 4 to 6 weeks on it, it can be very difficult to justify the remediation, even when that's the best thing to do. So, what can be done about these problems? To help produce good documentation, you can insist that your implementation partner's deliverables include per-integration documentation and insist that it be reviewed and accepted or rejected by your in-house development team. Institutional knowledge is not always bad, but right now it all lives with your implementation partner, and they're going to take it with them. Consider including your operations team in the review process as well, as they need to know about the daily operation. You can also insist on plain language names for integration systems and custom reports. It's not 1980 anymore. RAM and hard disk space are cheap and plentiful. We don't need to mince words when we could be descriptive. Furthermore, Workday supports Unicode. We don't need to use underscores when they make names difficult to read, instead of just using spaces. Resist the temptation to neglect documentation. Insist on plain language wherever possible, trying to strike the correct balance between precision and clarity. To help identify the business purpose, you can include this functional SMEs as early as possible. The sooner your subject matter experts are involved, the earlier they will be able to call out important details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Train your technicians to communicate clearly with non-technical stakeholders. Conversely, you can train your functional experts on the basics of technical implementation. Giving them a working knowledge of the basic terminology can empower them to help find solutions. Iterate as deeply as necessary as the understanding of the business purpose develops. Not often, but sometimes you can get halfway through developing an integration and realize that it really should have been started differently. Resist the urge to chalk this up to technical debt and leave it for some poor soul in the future. To mitigate the obvious inexperience of the team, include your developers in the whole solution process. It can be tempting to abstract your ticketing process with a technical manager and a business analyst who analyze and summarize the problem before the developer ever sees it. Including your developers earlier in the process can result in faster solutions and higher quality results. Don't skimp on details that seem irrelevant. Commit to completion. That means committing to documentation, knowledge transfer, remediation of technical debt once the fire's been put out, and the other necessary components of the post-development process. This also means you have to be realistic about timetables. If you're going to commit to documentation, knowledge transfer, and the rest, then you have to include time for those tasks in your project estimate, and then don't sell them short. You can also build collaboratively. Even something as simple as walking through the latest development fix can help the rest of your team come up to speed more quickly. And obviously, invest in training. Workday doesn't make it easy, but it is out there. You can also find some time to build one-off toys, which can go a long way to understanding how Workday's tools work when there's less pressure to get a fix delivered. I can easily say that every one of my clients has suffered from some form of one of these problems. I hope that these offer you the chance to face these challenges with some confidence and a little less risk. If you've already launched your Workday way of life, then firstly, congratulations. I'm sure you know the work has only just begun. Consider how some of these solutions might make life easier for your whole HRIS team. If you're considering Workday, or if you're currently wading through the rising tide of an implementation project, then I encourage you to present these ideas to your HRIS and enterprise applications teams, and consider how they might save you some difficulty in the future. Finally, I wish you the best of luck, and if there's anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to drop me a line.